طيب. Many of you have heard the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, where he says, Inna lillahi tis'atan wa tis'ina isman. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has 99 names. Mi'ah illa wahida. He has 100 except for one. Right? 100 except for one. He has 99 names. Man ahsaha dakhala al-jannah. Whoever ahsaha. Now, a lot of times it's translated as whoever memorizes them enters Jannah. But al-ihsa means not just to memorize them. It means that he memorizes them, he knows their meanings, and acts accordingly. All right? Whoever knows these names and acts according to them, he will enter paradise. That hadith, because of that hadith, many people believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's names are limited to 99 names. But that's a misunderstanding of the hadith. And so I'll give you an example. If I said I have $99, whoever finds it can keep half. You understand that much? Does that mean that I only have $99? So what was the benefit of mentioning 99 here? Huh? It means that the latter part of what I talked about, which is you can have half, is related to the first part. Whoever finds that money, whoever finds that 99 can keep half of it. All right? So similarly here, the Prophet ﷺ is saying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has 99 names, that if one is to know them and act according to those 99, then he will enter paradise. It's also important to note that there are other variations of that hadith, and that they mention the 99 names all together at the end of the hadith. You ever seen that? Like in Jami' at-Tirmidhi, for example, and they mention a lot of other books. None of those narrations are authentic. The ones that mention the 99 names, attributing them to the Prophet ﷺ, is nowhere where the Prophet ﷺ said that Allah has 99 names and then mentioned those names, where it's authentic. There are some scholars who believe that it's authentic, and we'll talk about that in a second, inshallah ta'ala. Father Shaykh, finish that point.
This is due to the authentic hadith of Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, reported by Ahmed rahimahullah and others, in which the Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu wasalam said, As'aluka bi kulli ism, I ask you by every one of your names with which you have named yourself, or which you have revealed in your book.
Before you finish that dua, does anybody know what this dua is for? Prophet ﷺ taught this dua some of his companions. For what purpose? Yeah. That's part of the dua. Yeah. Forgiveness. Who said that? Yes. It's for grief and anxiety. Grief and anxiety. And ikhwan, brothers and sisters, we all go through periods where we may suffer from anxiety about something, or where we may grieve about something. This dua is imperative that you take the time to memorize and incorporate, because it is a beautiful dua. It's a beautiful dua. In it, the Prophet ﷺ says, Allahumma inni abduk, right? So we just go through the dua very quickly. Allahumma inni abduk. Oh Allah, I am your slave. Look, at the end of the day, what happens when you're facing, what is anxiety, by the way? What does that mean? When you're anxious, it's about something that happened already, or something that you think could happen. Something that you fear might happen, or you're a little nervous about what's going to happen, right? And so you recognize in that moment that you are a slave of Allah, that this thing is in Allah's hands, and you are his slave. He's your master, and he's in control. Allahumma inni abduk. Remind yourself of that right away. Ibnu abdik, ibnu amatik. I am the son of your slave, your male slave, the son of your female slave. Now siyati biyadik, my forelock is in your hand. Madin fiyya hukmuk. Your hukm, your decree has already been determined for me. As'aluka adlun fiyya qada'uk, and whatever you decree for me is just. So here is decree, and whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decrees for you, even if there's some bitterness in that decree, it's still just. Whatever Allah gives you is just. But you know that you're the slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that your daddy is a slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that your mommy is too. And it's going to be okay. Bi'idnillah. And then you say, Allahumma inni as'aluka bi kulli ismin huwa lak. Oh Allah, I ask you by every name that is yours. By every name that is yours. Sammayta bihi nafsak. That you have named yourself. Because nobody else can name Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if anybody else gives Allah a name that he didn't give to himself, then it's not a name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sammayta bihi nafsak. Aw anzaltahu fi kitabik. Or you have revealed it in your book. What's the next thing that the Prophet ﷺ says? Or allamtahu ahadan min khalqik. Or you have taught it to one of your slaves. What's the difference between that one and that one? Anzaltahu fi kitabik or allamtahu ahadan min khalqik. Come on, y'all. Allahu Akbar, khalas, that. I didn't hear what you said, but I heard what he said. One's in the Quran and one's in the Sunnah. Anzaltahu fi kitabik means it's been revealed in the Quran. Or you taught it to one of your slaves. Well, who does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teach directly? Angels and prophets, that's it. And so here, or you've taught it to one of your servants, so it's been preserved in the Sunnah, which is the evidence that there are some names that come in the Sunnah that are not found in the Quran. Or you have kept it, you have preferred to keep it to yourself in the knowledge of the unseen. Meaning that there are names that belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He has not revealed to His creation. He is not revealed to His creation. But they are still His names. And so we may know 99 names or 119 names or 150. But we're never going to know all of the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We're never going to know all of His perfection. Because it's too much for us to encompass. So that is the proof that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's names are, as he says here, not limited to a particular number. All right, we have here determining Allah's names. What is the definition of Allah's beautiful names? وَلِلَّهِ الْأَسْمَاءُ الْحُسْنَى فَدْعُوهُ بِهَا. All right, so to Allah belongs the most husna names. And so, فَدْعُوهُ بِهَا. Call upon Him through those names. Worship Him through those names, subhanahu wa ta'ala. I just want to take a quick note on beautiful, because that was what the word that we chose for this particular class, Allah's beautiful names, right? I do take a little issue with that. And so for you brothers and sisters that are studying Arabic, what is Al-Husna? Let's start with the word Hasan. What does Hasan mean? Something that is good. Okay. Now, if you do what is known as, they call it the Ism Tafdeel, which before the superlative, what do you have? I'm not an English major. The comparative. Okay. So this one is Ahsan. What does that mean? It's better. Al-Ahsan is what? The best. But that's masculine. Al-Ahsan, which is the best, is masculine. The feminine version is Al-Husna. Al-Husna. So Allah has the best names. He has perfect names. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's names are, and so beautiful doesn't really capture Al-Husna. All right? What we're saying is that وَلِلَّهِ الْأَسْمَاءُ, to Allah belong the best names. And what that indicates is that whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is being described with in that name, that He has reached the pinnacle of perfection of that particular quality. Whether it is mercy, whether it is shukr, so His appreciation, whether it is ghufran, meaning that his forgiveness, that all of that has reached the pinnacle of perfection. And so that's what it means when we say Al-Husna. Al-Husna. They are the names. They are those names. So when we say what are the definition of Allah's perfect names, there are three things that we look at. And this is the definition of Shaykh Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala. He says they are those names, number one, by which Allah is beseeched and worshipped. Where do we get that from? It's all in the ayah, by the way. To Allah belong the best names, so fad'uhu biha. What is dua? Right, dua is two types. To call upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, beseeching Him, and it is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's the first part. They are those names, number one, by which Allah is beseeched and worshipped. Number two, which are mentioned in the Quran and Sunnah. Why is that? Why can't we find names that are not mentioned in the Quran and Sunnah? Huh? Because it's outside of Revelation. If it's not in the Quran and Sunnah, it's not in Revelation. There's no qiyas for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's names. All right? And the third thing, and they have to have all three of these qualities, and engender praise and honor independent of external factors. That is, that this name is perfect by itself. That this name is perfect by itself without context. So if you look at before, why don't we say that Allah is the mocker? Even though He says that He mocks who? The believers? No, the hypocrites. The hypocrites. So that needs something else for us to understand the perfection of it. And that's why it doesn't stand alone as a name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because it doesn't engender praise and honor independent of external factors. We need context, which is an external factor, as opposed to He is the creator, Al-Khaliq. Does that need something else? Does that need context? He is Al-Alim, the one who is knowledgeable of everything. Does that need context? He is As-Sami', the one who hears everything. Does that need context? No. It doesn't need context. And so, and it's found in the Quran and the Sunnah, and we can call upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with that name and worship Him by those names. So that's a ism from the Asma al-Husna. That's a name from the perfect names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Understood? Like, if not, we're going to go over it again and again, inshallah. Okay, so here we have a chart. What does it say at the top of the chart? Well, it's not a chart, actually. This is circles. Description. And inside of that we have an attribute. And then we have name. So, what is important here is to understand. Distinguish the name from what might resemble the name. The names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are the smallest, the least of all of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is described with. Meaning that, I think with examples it'll become clear, inshallah ta'ala. We just mentioned, who memorized Surah At-Tariq here? Anybody? Okay. Innahum yakiduna kaida. Okay, what's that mean? Innahum yakiduna kaida. Indeed, they are what? Plotting. They are plotting a plot. We don't really speak like that, but we'll leave it like that for now. They are plotting a plot. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said what? Wa akidu kaida. And I am also plotting. Okay. Can we call, so what is this here? What would we say that is? A description, an attribute, or what? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is describing what He does. Okay. So, okay, that's fine. That's a description. What we say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the plotter. No. Okay. Could we say, because you know this is where people get this from, could we say that Allah is the best of planners? Yes, no, maybe so. Is that a name of Allah? No. So it's not a name of Allah to say that He is the best of planners. And what do you mean by saying that Allah is the best of planners? What do you mean by that?
It means that when He does it, He's perfect. He's the best at it. He's perfect at it when He does it.
So most people don't use it that way. Most people use it in the sense that they were intending to do something, but Allah decreed for them something else. And so they say, I wanted to do A, B, C, and D, but Allah is the best of planners. In this sense, we're doing what? We're describing Allah as being the one who has decreed for me what was better for me. And that's fine if you use it in that context. The problem is most people are actually taking it from that concept of plotting. And that's not what it's not what it means. That's not what that ayah means. All right? Tell you. But the point is here that we have what? Descriptions. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَيَمْكُرُونَ وَيَمْكُرُ اللَّهُ وَاللَّهُ خَيْرُ الْمَاكِرِينَ. What's that mean? وَيَمْكُرُ al-makir. What's that? That's that plan that has some sorry? It's like a scheme. Right. Scheming. Yamkurun, they're scheming. وَيَمْكُرُ but Allah schemes. وَاللَّهُ خَيْرُ الْمَاكِرِينَ. And He is the best of those who scheme. Now, yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is described with that quality. But again, you're not going to call Allah al-makir. You're not going to call Him the schemer. وَلِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. God forbid. I mean, it's not something we're going to describe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with, because He didn't give Himself that name. And that's not a perfect name. That's not min al-asma al-husna. It's not from the best names. So what we have to see is that there may be an attribute that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, that Allah Azza wa Jalla has. That does not necessarily translate into a name. And so for those of you who know a little bit about Arabic, what the scholars say here is that Babul Asma Akhasul Abwa. That when we talk about the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that this subject is the most specific of all of the subjects related to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's names and attributes. وَبَابُ الْأَخْبَارِ أَوْسَعُ الْأَبْوَابِ. And that when we talk about how to describe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then there's a lot of leeway there, as long as it doesn't carry a negative meaning. So we can say, for example, you hear people say it all the time, Allahul Musta'an. Allah al-Musta'an. What's that mean? He is the one in whom aid is sought. Is al-Musta'an from the names of Allah? No, it's not from the names of Allah. But we're describing that He is the one from whom we seek al-aun or aid. So we're describing Him. But the names, no, that's a smaller section. All right? Tayyib. Okay. Quickly, we'll go through this, determining Allah's names. There's 4 basic approaches, all right? We're not going to read it. The first one is those scholars who strictly rely on that weak hadith that I talked to you about, all right? So they say Allah has 99 names. Here they are. Here's the hadith. We're done. All right. There's a second approach, and that is only the approach of Ibn Hazm rahimahullah ta'ala. Nobody else took this approach when it came to the names of Allah. And that is, he restricts Allah's names only to that which has the proper form of a name or an ism in the Arabic language. Not one that has been derived from a verb, nor one that is mudaf. So I'll give you an example. When we say mudaf, I don't know how to talk about this stuff in English, but I'll give you an example. Allah says in the Quran, Allahu nuru samawati wal ard. Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth. Allah didn't say He is an-nur. He said He's what? The light of the heavens and the earth. Allah says Maliki Yawmiddin. He is the what? The owner of, or Maliki Yawmiddin, the king of the day of judgment. right? Now, there are other ayat, obviously, where he says Al-Malikul Quddus, right? So that's different. But Badi'u samawati wal ard. Have you ever heard anybody's name Abdul Badi'? Huh? There is. Because Al-Badi', according to most of the scholars, is the name of Allah. But Allah Azza wa Jal never called himself Al-Badi' in the Quran. It comes Badi' as-samawati wal ard. So, in other words, Ibn Hazm doesn't accept any of those. He restricts it only to that which comes in the form of an ism, which inshallah, as we go on, will become clear. You're going to come back and you can say, I didn't understand that stuff. But when I went back and I looked now, I get it all. All right, number 3. And that's fine, you know. Knowledge is like that. Knowledge is like anything else. The first time you do it, a lot of times you don't get it, right? So you have to do it again, and you do it again, like any trade that you do, or anything for that matter. The third is those who are lenient in determining Allah's names, such that they derive a name from each of Allah's attributes and actions. They will say that from Allah's names is Al-Mustahzi, Al-Makir, you know, all of the things we just said, no, we can't name Allah with that. They'll say yes, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described himself with this, and so therefore, because he described himself with that, we can give him a name from that, and that's incorrect. Then the last, and this is the part we're going to follow, or these are the scholars that we'll be following, inshallah. Scholars who chose a moderate course between the two previous approaches. And they made certain stipulations, as indicated by proofs from the Quran and Sunnah, for deriving a name from an attribute. So not every attribute will we derive a name from of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from, but some of them we will. And again, this will become clear as we go forward, inshallah.